Let's talk about avoiding lightsaber scams and problems. And by scams, I mean ordering something where the item you receive differs from what you were expecting and differs from the description. It could also mean not receiving your item at all. And it could even mean receiving a defective item. And sometimes certain companies won't have very good customer service, and in the case of a defective item. So it's better if you can avoid some of these companies in advance or kind of know what you're getting into. So, okay. First thing you should do is do your research. So what you want to do with any company is see if you can find reviews for their products outside of the website. So the reviews on websites will often be very biased. Sometimes the only reviews that they post will be 5 stars, and you really want to look for something from a little more unbiased platform. YouTube has a ton of reviews. A lot of sabers and companies are reviewed on YouTube. I do a lot. There are also many other people that review sabers and companies too, so I would highly recommend that. You have Lightsaber forums. A lot of people will talk about different customer service issues they've had, and they'll review the products and their experience that way. And finally, another place that I think sometimes people forget about is the Better Business Bureau. So the Better Business Bureau doesn't have a page for every single company, but sometimes you can find good reviews on that website, and people will talk about different experiences they've had with a company. Most of the reviews that end up on Better Business Bureau are not very favorable, but it may be valuable to you to read through kind of the experience of customers, and it's something that could happen to you. Okay, another thing you can do is, when possible, shop through a familiar and established platform. So I say when possible because this is not always possible. So it's nice if you can shop through Etsy, Amazon, eBay, kind of the big players like that. As a disclaimer, I'm an eBay seller, so for whatever that's worth, just want to let you know. But what's nice about these big platforms for the buyer is they have a lot of protections in place for the buyer. So if something goes awry, the platform will often have just some very strong ways of protecting you. And that's just a nice thing. You also don't necessarily need to sign up for a new site. You know, you're probably already on Amazon, eBay, Etsy, so it's not too much of a stretch to buy something there. So that's another thing you can do, but sometimes you are going to have to purchase from a different website. In a lot of cases you probably will, but at any rate. Another thing you can do to protect yourself is pay with credit card or pay with PayPal. And what's good about that is credit card gives you additional protection from just using like a debit card or some other payment method. And if you have problems, you can always call your credit card company or your bank, and it's a headache, it's a hassle, but they'll help you out, and there are pretty good protections in place there. Now, if you pay with PayPal, you get the PayPal buyer protection, which is quite generous, and so that's definitely good to get that. And you can also pay with PayPal where you're still paying with your credit card. So that means you get kind of 2 layers of protection. You have your PayPal buyer protection, and then you have your credit card protection. So that's a tip there. Another thing you want to do is ask questions in advance. So if you're doubting anything about your purchase or about the company, the website, anything at all, any little detail, ask the company about it. I mean, that's their job. You know, they want you as a customer. So if you're wondering something, if something is a little unclear to you, ask them about it. And their response will maybe be very telling. How fast they respond will be kind of an indicator for you of their service level. And how they interact with you will also tell you a lot. So that's definitely something you want to do. And finally, you want to look at the return policy. So some companies have different return policies. Some have no returns. No returns, it could be just a few days, it could be a week, it could be a month. It's something to think about. I mean, you may not have to return it, but it's something you want to factor in when you're making the purchase. And even if a company says that they have a return policy, though, there's no guarantee that they'll honor that, unfortunately. Because they may not consider your return a valid reason. But nevertheless, it's kind of something good to look for, and it's also even an indicator of how much they care about their customer. Because, for example, if something says no returns, or if it's just a few days for the return policy, to me that's a little bit of a red flag that the company doesn't care too much about the customer. So that's a little bonus tip, I think, on the return policy, that it can be an indicator, possible indicator of the kind of customer service level of the company. Can you guys think of additional tips? What are some other ways that buyers can protect themselves from sellers when they're purchasing a lightsaber? This is a pretty important topic, I think, because even some of the lower end lightsabers are going to run you like $50 or $100, and that can be a lot of money. So it's not money you just want to toss around and feel like it kind of gets wasted or lost somehow. So, yep, feel free to add your additional tips in the comment section.